Hi, everybody. It is Carolyn Doran Ballard, and thank you. We are a few minutes late tonight. Technical difficulties, and I was just getting ready to post, and Dell magically found the answer. We had a little issue with our settings, but thank you for joining us tonight for Kicking Back, episode number 22. And tonight's going to be a lot of fun because I have known this person for a very long time, probably almost 30 years. I hate to put a number to it, but it's going to be fun because tonight is going to be about knowledge, things you didn't know about this person, things you do know about this person, and some of the things that he knows that are just amazing. So it's going to be very fun and very interesting. But before we get started, as you know, I talk about the few things that are coming up in the next 2 weeks. The first thing is, please visit the Ballard versus the Big C page. We are still running our raffle. This is going to be an online raffle. We're going to have some bowling items and non-bowling items. But this is a way for us to raise some money for Ballard versus the Big C. As you know, with this year being COVID, we are still trying to raise some money for those going through the cancer journey. My second announcement, please make sure to visit Ballard's Bowling Academy Facebook page for our youth entry. It is October 24th and 25th, The Experience. We're going to have some new and exciting things at this youth event, of course, scholarship money. And we would like to thank all of our sponsors, Storm, Rotogrip, Dexter, Logo Infusion, and Turbo Grips. Also, Platinum Ford and PPP Plumbing have added some money to this event. So we are very thankful that everyone continues to support youth bowling and Ballard's Bowling Academy, everything we try to do. So there you have it. And now we are ready to introduce our guest. And as you know, I always start with saying a few words that I feel resonate with the person that's coming on as the guest. So some of the words, and these are not all from me. So I have to make that perfectly clear that I reach out to either husbands or wives or friends or coworkers, and I ask for words that describe this person. So some of the words that were given were WT graduate, FOK, we'll talk a little bit about that later, husband, dad, left-handed, detailed, intuitive. I agree with that a lot. Charming, that definitely wasn't me. We can tell you who said that later. And he is a bowler. So please help me welcome tonight Mr. Hank Boomershine, Vice President of Sales for Storm Products. Hank, are you there?
Yeah, Carolyn, here in Brigham City, Utah.
Brigham City, Utah, and I brought him in from outside. He was outside with his beautiful son, Aiden. Is Aiden around? Do you want to pop him on the screen?
No, he's outside riding around his tricycle. His little friends stopped over, so he's outside entertaining.
I love it. Well, it's beautiful weather here too in Fort Worth, so I'm glad he gets a chance to get outside, and I would love to be outside riding a bike with him right now too. But maybe before we get off the air, we'll get a glimpse of Aiden.
Yeah, I'm sure. We'll get him in here.
Hank, there's so much that I want to talk to you about, and I don't want to, we try to stick to 40 minutes, and I really think I'm going to have you back. But we're going to start with, you recently celebrated 20 years with Storm Products, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But you were not always the vice president of sales.
Nope.
Humble beginnings. I know you were a pro shop operator, East Ridge Lanes in Amarillo, Texas.
Yep.
So I want you to tell everybody first, where did you start and where did you get this love of bowling in the pro shop and moving forward in the industry?
You know, I started Inglewood, Ohio. I worked for a guy named Ken Ray. Ken Ray could probably pass as Gary Skidmore's twin brother. I mean, they literally look identical. And they bowled on tour at about the same time. So
Oh,
I was
that's funny.
15 years old, and I wandered in the shop too much, and I asked too many questions, I think. And finally, one day, Ken says, "Hey, I need you to come back here and help me plug a ball." And I looked at him and I'm like, "What?" I said, I'm not allowed to work. He goes, "Oh, no, I already talked to your dad. You're allowed to work. You're good." And so that all started my love of being in the pro shop business. Is I started like 15 years old plugging balls and learning how to resand, refinish. And next thing you know, he was a master fitter. The guy was just a meticulous fitter of a hand. And fast forward, I did it all through college. As you know, Carolyn, I drilled a lot of balls for you all through college, and still drilled a few balls for you in the last few years from time to time, and throwing some thumbs and some thumbs for you. So, but yeah, that's kind of where it all started. It started in Englewood, Ohio, just basically north of Dayton. And there's a very famous guy that runs that bowling center, Thunderbolt Lanes, Jerry Kessler. He's very well-spoken and outspoken at the same time. So yeah, that was my start, was a little 16-lane center, Ohio, and then going to West Texas and then running that pro shop there at East Ridge Lone Star Lanes. And what's funny is Dell actually, I helped in the shop at Western Bowl for Eddie Kelly, and I think Dell was part owner of that shop there at Western Bowl for a little while.
Oh my gosh, yes, I forgot about that.
We drilled on that Magic Gilmac in the back.
But then from there you went and you had a pro shop with Don Hogue.
Don Ho, yeah, Akron, Ohio. Yeah, he's still there. He's still hanging out in Akron, Ohio. We were at Stonehenge, Freddie Borden's place, and I was there 3-4 almost 4 years. And I remember Clemkin came in the shop at the Touring Players Championship, and Steve said, "Hey, it's my last week on tour." And I said, "What do you mean it's your last week on tour?" He goes, "I'm going to work in the office." I said, "Well, who's going to do your job?" And he said, "Are you interested?" And I said, "I might be." And next thing you know, Bill Stupper called me the next day, and he said, "Hey, can you go out in 2 weeks?" And I was like, "I guess so." And so next thing you know, I was out as a tour rep for Storm 2 weeks later, March of 2000. So
well, we're very thankful for that, by the way. And I know Storm is too, so that's fantastic. But you did touch on the fact of, and I take notes, especially with you. I have pages of notes, but you touched on something. I want to know, what is your favorite part, or what was your favorite part about working in the pro shop, and how important? And this is something we talk about all the time. How important is that relationship between the bowler and the pro shop?
I mean, it's a huge thing, and the thing that I probably had the most fun with was having that person come into the shop and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this reaction or whatever," and always like, "Hey, well, let's go out to the lanes. Let me watch you throw a shot down the lane a little bit." And so that whole time of the interaction of learning about them, what they were wanting, what they were kind of what was their end goal, and then the end goal was like, "Hey, what was is it, I want a little more shape down lane, or I can't create any hook." And it might not have been the bowling ball. It might have been 15 minutes of talking about just their physical game. But then maybe drilling a ball, walking out, they throw their first shot, and that first shot goes down the lane, and they turn around and they have the biggest look in their eye like, "How'd you do that?" Right. And that just that instantaneous feedback, that's the thing I miss most about a pro shop, is instantaneous feedback. I mean, we do a lot of great things at Storm, and we produce some of the craziest stuff and some of the best stuff in the industry, but I don't always get to see the end result. I mean, I have some of the greatest players in the world with Klemkin and Hoskins, and now we got Giorgio that works here in Utah with us now. So we have a great corral of people. Lindsay throwing it down the lane. It's like, oh, well, that looks great in their hand, but sometimes like Brent Bauer shooting 899 last week with the Axiom Pearl. I'm like, right. This ball has to be good. And then all of a sudden, right out of the gate, all those successes. But the pro shop side of it was the instant feedback and the actual that you get to go right to the end, and I get to that finished product right in that player's hand.
Okay, so you touch on something else, which is great. You're segueing into everything. You talked about watching the player bowl. Mm-hmm. Okay, how important is coaching? Because really what you just talked about was really you spent time with someone, and it might have been one or two little tidbits of actually their physical game, which then changed that ball motion totally. How important is that?
Honestly, in the pro-shop business, it's more than half of it. I mean, more than half of it is the coaching side of it. I mean, I'd say 60, almost 70% of it could be the coaching side. The 30, the 40%, the mechanical side of it, the bowling ball side of it. there's lots of different things you can do in bowling balls, but the physical side of it is if they can't get from point A to point B consistently, and with that have great successes and have consistency, repetition, it's really, I used to say to people, you don't need a new ball. You just need 3 or 4 lessons.
Right.
And they'd be like, I want a new ball. I said, well, I tell you what, you buy a new ball, I'll give you a lesson for free. And I did a lot of those in Akron. I did a ton of, hey, I drilled a ball, and I tell you what, let's go out and I'll work with you for a half hour after you get done bowling. And then it turns into, you know what, you're right, I didn't need a ball. When can I come back for another lesson?
Correct.
And it turned into, at one point, I think at the end, Don used to get frustrated. He'd be like, you're out there coaching more than you're in here drilling.
That's why you had two of you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny that you say that, because I wrote down 3 things that resonate with you, to me, that when we did clinics together, and even out on tour when you were coming out to watch Lindsay bowl and you were helping everybody else, there were a few things that you always said. You can't out bowl bad ball reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You can't out coach a bad fit, and surface is your friend and probably the most important factor when talking about ball motion.
100%. Yep.
And again, it goes back to, all of that goes back to really the pro shop, the fit. Mm-hmm. If they're buying a ball, you're trying to create ball reaction or ball motion, right? And then again, they buy this ball, and it's really up to the pro shop operator to teach them that changing the surface of that ball can make this ball do 3 or 4 different things.
Yeah, I mean, we still kind of preach it all the time in all of our seminars and everything we do, is that just because a ball comes one way doesn't mean it's stuck that way. And Carolyn, you know as well as anyone, is you might get a new ball on tour, and it might have, let's just say it's factory polished, and you're like, ooh, you might immediately hit it with 4,000 or 2,000, and next thing you know, it's absolutely a different bowling ball. It might not have matched up as well as you wanted. And like you always said, a surface is your friend, and use it to your advantage, because many times I don't think people use enough surface. And I think people kind of take for granted that, there's hook down the lane somewhere. Not always. But if there's texture on your bowling ball, it's always going to kind of read the lane in the right spots.
So you heard it from one of the smartest people I know in this industry, that surface is not a bad thing, which is one thing we preach to not only our youth bowlers, all bowlers, but definitely to our youth who are really trying to find themselves and get to that next level. Mm-hmm. And that's perfect. So Dell sends me a text as I'm on with you, and he says, which is so true. Hold on. I remember being on the truck, and he told me that he wants to make bowling balls, that he felt he was just smarter than what they were doing out on tour, and that he needed to do something else. And Dell agreed. Dell's like, you're one of the smartest guys I know. So, of course, that leads me into the joke of calling Hank F.O.K. is fountain of knowledge, because there isn't anything that you can't call Hank and say, Hank, what bird is this sitting in my tree? Or, Hank, we have a bee in our fireplace. We sent him a picture last week. What is this? And he starts rattling off all this information. Hank Boomershine, you went from being a tour rep to a pro shop operator to exactly what you wanted to do, vice president of sales, and you designed bowling balls. Mm-hmm. So I want you to tell everybody out there, how do you come up with these ideas for these magic bowling balls?
I don't know. I mean, it's, you have a little bit of background in physics, a little bit of background and some of the, geometry and trigonometry and those types of things kind of helps you to parts of the equation. But I always say having a vision and having a picture of what that ball is doing in motion is most of the battle, because the shape itself dictates a lot of the ball motion. And so you're putting holes in it in certain spots, and then you let go of it, and the weight block is rotating and spinning and orbiting in space. So based on those types of ideas and things, it's like I can cut mass here, or I can put mass there, or I can change the shape in a certain way to create the shape and the ball motion I'm looking for. So you've seen some crazy designs over the years out of me, and
Absolutely.
and there's one coming that could just absolutely blow the industry's mind. We're still kind of tinkering around with it right now. I can't give any more than that. All I know is when I brought it up in an R&D meeting, Dave Sims just looks at me and goes, "Dude, what are you doing?" So there's more to come, and as Dell would say, and I remember, I think Mike Miller came in the truck right after that, Dell, somewhere in that, and I think he dropped his pants to the ground. I know this is a clean show, but
it's not necessarily a clean show, but go right ahead.
but I just had to moon us and just say, "What do you guys think?" And then he pulls his pants up and he walks off the truck. So. But yeah, that was many conversations in the back of the truck. Dell was actually with another company, and I was with Storm, and we roomed together. We traveled together. We hung out a ton, and it was those moments and those times were always fun. That we could just. It wasn't about I was working for company A and he was working for company B. It was like, hey, here, what do you see out there? What's going on? And here's what I was seeing, and here was he was seeing, and that conversation came about was, man, we're missing this. We're missing some things right here, and I think I can help. And 20 years later, it's been a lot of successes over the years. And so, I mean, I credit to all the great people that we have at Storm, and all the great people from the first guy that pours the ball on the line to the last guy that finishes it, puts it in a box, and dumps it on truck outside. So it's a good team effort, and I can tell you the team we have at Storm is unbelievable. From everyone, from the tour team to the R&D team to the sales team to the marketing team, social media, everybody. We continue to try to be the leaders in the industry, and it's those things that keep us kind of out there and keep us moving forward. And we know that the competition is tough, and we're always trying to pedal as fast as we can to stay ahead of them, because there's a lot of good things out there. There's a lot of good products from a lot of good companies, and hats off to all of them, because it just keeps pushing the bar for everyone in the industry, not just us. We push the bar for the industry. Some of the things we've done has forced the governing body to make changes to rules, because we've pushed the envelope, and they've said, no, we've got to kind of rein you back here a little bit. And every time we do, we're going to keep trying to push the envelope.
Well, it's you're talking about over years, things change, and there's conversations that you have with people that guide you in certain directions, and it has changed a little bit. I think back then, like you said, you worked for one company, Dell at the time worked for another, but there wasn't as much. And I'm going to say this, I don't want to be overly politically correct, but it wasn't as territorial. It was okay to hang out and you talked a little bit and not share the secrets of the company, but you shared ball motion or what was working or what drills you were using, or it wasn't as just as picky as it seems it is today, because the world has changed. The demographics have changed. Bowling, it grew and then it steadied, and now there's just that little bit of uncertainty as to where we're going to go. So I am glad that we had those relationships over those years, because I think you were able to take knowledge from a lot of other people and then instill it to what you already knew, and you were able to pursue your dream of designing bowling balls and being with the number one company in the industry. So hats off to you for being able to do that, and you've done a great job. So you can't give us any secrets. Yeah, I know that. But that's okay. Why don't you just tell us about the newest release that came out from Storm? Tell us actually what the bowl is and where does it fit?
So we're talking about the Axiom Pearl? Okay, we did actually make public another ball today from Storm.
Yes, the physics.
Proton physics.
Proton. So you could talk about that also if you'd like.
So Axiom Pearl the NEX cover stock came about 55 renditions. So 55 formulations got us to that cover that's on the Axiom. Now, as what's the funniest part about this is, and funny and sad at the same time, is that Axiom comes on tour the first week, 3 of 5 balls on the show. It's not anything unique or crazy as far as dynamics, new weight block, new cover, low RG, symmetrical, but the cover was the magic. The NEX cover was a whole new direction in cover stock technology. And myself and Alex Hoskins, many months of trying to get it together. And hey, we need something different. We need something that holds its profile. We need something that has longevity over gains. We need something that even though it absorbs oil, it just maintains texture, it maintains friction. And that's the thing that cover gave us. So we release Axiom, the world shuts down. So everybody's like, oh, but everybody who's had a chance and got a chance to throw, it's like, wow, this is it's like an amped up phase 2. It's like even better. It's like, let's just take Special Agent. Let's just take Idol. Let's just take phase 2. Let's just wrap them all into a ball. And oh my gosh, we've got something that's a good all around. And we kept saying wait till the pearl comes. Wait till the pearl comes. And so Axiom pearls hit the streets. It has such a unique shape because that ball has so much chemical friction that it's never been seen like that in the industry. It's just very unique. And there's no way, like, it's hard to measure chemical friction, but it's just the adherence of that cover stock to the lane. And so even in the oil, it likes to adhere to the oil. So it's very unique is that it still has a lot of the tendencies of pearl, but it still has a lot of underlying innuendos of solid. It still doesn't miss the spot. It's a ball that, even though it's a pearl, it doesn't miss it. It doesn't like.
I agree.
Sometimes with a pearl, you can get a little bit of that carry down the lane, and it just kind of wiggles a little bit, doesn't quite read it. This ball kind of rolls right through. It doesn't even blink. Yeah. And so the early successes we're seeing with it, it's exciting. It's exciting that we knew that this was going to be a great release, but it's one of those of the world's starting to open back up. Axiom. We think it'll pull some of those axioms that people got missed are going to be like, wow, I got to have this as a great 1-2 punch here. And so the nice thing is this Axiom Pearl has been, it's a great release for us. And so we're excited about it. It's one of those that there's been a lot of really good ones come out in the last couple of months, but we've had a lot of time to do the R&D, the longevity of R&D to create products that, not trying to throw something in the wall and say, oh, hopefully that one sticks to it. Hopefully somebody likes that. Really try to make them fit. And we knew that this one was going to be a good fit in the line. And so it's exciting for us, and it's just keeps kind of that ball rolling, I guess you say, and keeps us pedaling along and trying to keep us pedaling a little faster. And then Proton Physics coming in the end of November, 1st of December. We just announced that today. That's an NEX solid. So with that atomic core, so the physics core with the biggest cover we've ever made, it's going to be the biggest, probably most aggressive. And there's some video coming. I can't remember if we posted it tonight or not, but the 6 ways video, it's just incredible that much how that shell and that core work together. Just it's a lot. And so we had some huge balls in Alpha Cruxes. We had some huge balls in Sherlocks and UFOs and others. It's just a bigger version. To me, it's like even stronger than Sherlock. It has a round shape and continuation of an Alpha Crux, but with how that physics like to get started and that Sherlock like to get really started up, this one likes to get started and continues to round the pattern even better. And so that's the beauty of. Did I lose you there? I didn't lose you there. Okay.
Nope, you're there.
Okay, so it just has that shape, and it's just got another cool addition to the line. I mean, we take balls out and we add balls in that we feel that can enhance and do even more than the predecessors. And so it's always a constant battle. I mean, Alex we were in there today doing some cover stock testing, and it's funny because Alex is doing the test and I'm watching, and he's like, now this one shouldn't roll any better. I said, why shouldn't it roll any better? And he goes, just because I just don't think this formulation is going to work the way we want. And then it rolled good, and he's like, damn it.
I love that. That's great.
Well, it's just funny because we keep working in branches of chemistry. We keep working in branches to try to look at different ways to make urethane, because urethane's a unique kind of, there's all different ways to put it together. And so we're fortunate to have a great chemist and a group of chemists in Southern California, Ennis, and now Christopher's joined the group, and Sean. They're 3 brilliant minds that help us. And the neat thing about these guys is, like, Sean and Christopher will come to Storm, and neither one of them are bowlers, but they're bowlers now. They are. It's crazy. We've drilled them balls, and they're just geeky bowlers now, but they live in California, so they can't bowl. So anyway, they got heavy into bowling, and now they can't bowl. but they get to what we're trying to talk about is the reading of the ball front to back and left to right, and how much is so much thought about left to right, but there's so much importance of front to back.
Right.
The way the oils are being applied to lanes today, and the viscosities of oil today, and the slickness of oils today, balls have to slow down to hook. Like surface is your friend, but chemical friction and other things can enhance that even when you do put texture on it or don't have texture on it. So those are the things we constantly battle. We're always trying to kind of find that next thing. So
well, your mind has always worked like that anyway. It never slows down, which is amazing because I don't like numbers and I don't like the angles. I just kind of like point A to point B. But with the bowling ball, so name one of the bowling balls, if you can, that was your quickest model. So in other words, from start to finish, so when you drew your little idea on the napkin or whatever you did, what's one of the quickest balls that was made from start to finish? And what's one of the longest that it took the longest for it from start to finish? What can you remember?
Sure, easy. Code Black. Code Black took me 35 minutes to draw the weight block in the shape. What's funny is I was drawing it, and Dave Sims was sitting there next to me, and he's like, "Oh wow, that kind of reminds me of X Factor." I said, "Yeah, kind of take the principles of that," and we threw a couple other ideas at it, and we drew it. I drew it in about 35 minutes, and we went to a couple of proven cover stocks. We tweaked them a little bit. It went to Asia first, though. That ball went to Asia for 2 years before it came to the United States. And so Code Black was the fastest we ever put together to get it to where it is. And probably, to me, the one that's the slowest and took the longest and had the most amount of energy put into it, probably from start to finish, had to be a UFO.
Really?
Yeah, because the UFO... It was you're trying to find the cavities and develop those cutouts in the weight block in certain places, because you're trying to mimic it. If a thumb hole would go into a quadrant within an 80-degree angle left or right, and then a balance hole for right or left-hander, where's it going to go into the shape at?
Right.
So you're trying to develop the size of the shape, and then you're trying to develop the cutouts of where that's going to be. And so over time, it takes a lot of time to try to figure that out. And so that, to me, that was probably the slowest one for us.
Oh, that's very interesting. I would not have thought it would be the UFO. So, all right. So we're about 37 minutes in. I do want to get to a couple of fun things. So if you weren't involved in bowling, Hank, what would you be doing?
What would I be doing? Sorry,
right.
Tyler just came in.
Come in and say hi. Come say hi.
Tyler, come say hi.
Tyler Jensen, right? Tyler, Tyler.
Hi.
Tell everybody
he was on
hello.
the golf course.
Tyler was on the golf course, used to be with Dexter,
good.
and he's now with Storm as our international, correct?
Yes.
Did
He's international
properly?
sales,
Okay.
international sales manager, and also I guess he's helping us develop some product lines and things out of Asia as well too, because he has the experiences from the Dexter brand as far as in development.
Perfect. Excellent.
Yeah, they borrowed the golf cart because I only live 4 doors from the golf course. So him and Bill Chrisman, I don't know if Bill's coming in so Tyler just came back, dropped the golf cart off, and now he's going downstairs to see Aiden.
Okay, excellent. I love it. We always like visitors. It's okay. So if you weren't involved in bowling, what would Hank Boomershine be doing?
Oh, the dream job or
if that's what you want to call it. I mean, I thought you had your dream job creating bowling balls. Yeah, I know you do. But if it wasn't in bowling, what would be your dream job in something else?
Honestly, probably veterinarian or a kindergarten school teacher.
Kindergarten school teacher or a veterinarian. Okay.
Because I love teaching the kids. I love teaching them about it's fun to teach my son what science, and it's fun to teach him numbers, and it's fun to teach the kids. I mean, I enjoy teaching so much. And so you can tell when we've done clinics together, I like to just instill knowledge into people because the thing is, if you give them that little bit of knowledge and they grow with it,
Right.
they become a better bowler. And if you give a student that much more knowledge, they grow with it as well too, and they become either better as a student or better as an athlete because they have the knowledge to participate in that sport.
Absolutely. And one of the key factors, though, and this has always been one of your assets by all means, is the way you communicate. You're passionate about what you're teaching, number one. Number two, it's the way you present it. Even though you are, and I know I keep saying this, but you're smart. You just are. You know so much about so much. But it's the way you present it, in that when people may not be on, let's just say they're not a professional bowler, you know how to relate to the professional bowler, the high school bowler, the beginner bowler, and that says a lot about you as a teacher or coach, because you do have to relate to those different type of ages and personalities. Mm-hmm. And that comes across in the fact of respect comes both ways. And I know even with Alyssa, it's like, oh my God, if Uncle Hank says it, well, geez, it's got to be true, which, and it is, but it's a respect factor, and it's in the way you speak to everyone. It's that you're not teaching everyone like they're pro bowlers, and you understand that. And I think that's important when you are coaching.
Right. And Carolyn, I feel humbled every time somebody says nice things, and it's always trying to make that level of communication, is trying to connect with your student. I'm going to connect with my dog here in a minute.
No, he's fine.
That's Bacchus. We have three labs, so he wants to go downstairs. He's locked upstairs. But it's always making the connection with your student, making your connection with. It's not necessarily student, making your connection with whoever you're talking to, because in those conversations, and I've been around a lot of great people. Freddie Borden is the most engaging coach I've ever been around. That, like, at the end of the day, when you've spent time with Freddie Borden, you feel like I'm the greatest player in the world. I could conquer anybody. I'm standing on the top of the mountain.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily that I was always trying to. You try to take those things where he always tried to create engagement. Talking to Dr. Dean. I mean, his eyes are piercing through the back of your brain, and you're thinking, right. Man, was he looking into my soul? It's always trying to have bits and pieces of some of those people that you have so much respect for.
Right.
But then engage with them. But then if you're trying to teach them something, make sure you teach them on the level they understand. And Excellent. Not necessarily do you need to come from the top down. You need to come, and I was taught very young to come from the bottom up. I had a couple of professors in college that I go back to Dr. Labrie and Dr. Brooks. Dr. Mazerall was one of my absolute favorites. But Dr. Brooks said to me, he goes, you can't teach somebody, you can't build a house if you don't lay a foundation. I can't teach you anything if you don't know Correct. The basics of this foundation. And Dr. Brooks was one of the best for me, was in that. And then Dr. Mazerall kind of sent that point home when we got into grad school. Was he was teaching some things that were just off the charts. But he said sometimes we have to come back to the basics of the chemistry of the water, which was his big deal. Was he was a limnologist. But and I'll bring you up to it. And so I always kept that mentality. If I'm coaching the greatest player in the world, or if I'm coaching the 3-year-old that's trying to learn, that I'm trying to teach him that the CG, come on, buddy, put it up, so that when it has no holes in it, that top plate's going to go end over end. We were bowling last night, and he kept saying, "No, Daddy, I got this." And his ball would go in the gutter. I'm like, okay, bud. So, but it's fun. It's fun at all levels. I mean, I enjoy conversations with a guy like Mo Pinnell, all the way to conversations with a guy that just comes into a matchmaker. That, hey, I never really bowled much. Can you teach me a little bit about the sport? And I get great satisfaction out of both sides of it.
Okay, before my next question, before we start to wrap it up, is Aiden left-handed or right-handed?
He is right-handed.
Oh, okay.
So Dell's happy.
Dell's very happy. Okay. Hank, you've been through a lot. You went from pro shops to college, and now you're a vice president. What would you tell younger Hank Boomershine?
What would I tell younger Hank Boomershine? Invest better. I'm just kidding.
Don't we all tell ourselves
Buy Apple.
that?
Buy Apple.
Buy Apple.
Buy Amazon. Buy Apple. Buy Netflix. Don't get in too late. If I was to tell younger Hank anything, I would say always don't give up on the dream. Don't ever forget what, there's the light down the. My father always says it best is, we drive through the windshield. We don't drive through the rearview mirror. So we always look at what's coming at us, not what's going past us. And he used to always say, we make mistakes in our lives. We do lots of things wrong and we do lots of things right. But he said, it's water downstream. It doesn't come back.
Right.
So we just keep moving forward. And so I would tell him, hey, when you get punched in the face and you get knocked down and you feel like, oh, crap, I'm not going to get anywhere I want to go, just keep moving forward. And you'll get to where you're going. As long as you're driven, as long as you have that vision, you'll get there. And so my father's the greatest mentor. So
yeah, that's excellent.
I get a little choked up there.
As you should. You have great parents, and obviously they did a fantastic job. So one more before I wrap it up and let you go. So we did go to college together.
Mm-hmm.
So
32 years, by the way. 32. Almost 33 years, Carolyn.
Did you have to do the math? Okay. So dealing with you and I, mm-hmm. what is one thing that you remember? Tell a funny. Do you have a funny? I have a funny.
Oh, I could.
We have a. Okay, it's got to. Hold on. Time out. Time out. Think about what you're going to say. We are live on Facebook.
Okay, I'll keep it clear.
Go ahead. No, I'm kidding.
Carolyn was always kind of the jokester. She was always the one that she liked to do. I mean, I still remember I'm driving the van. No. West Texas, I'm driving the van. And she's sitting in the passenger seat and everybody's sound asleep. It's in the middle of the night somewhere. I can't remember where we're at. And we're driving back from a tournament.
Yes, we were. It was late.
I think we were in Arizona or something. Yeah. But the cooler was in the front between us. And it had been in there all weekend. And there was food in it. Joey Gogger had some fruit or something.
Oh, there were sandwiches. You name it. It was yeah.
So everybody's sound asleep. So she opens the cooler and she's got her head out the window and this horrendous smell just reeks up out of this cooler. Like we've got roadkill in the car. And all of a sudden, all these heads start popping up. They're like, what's that smell? And she shuts the cooler. She rolls the window up. And she's like, what? I think she did it twice.
Yeah, you were driving, though, and you put your head out the window.
I did.
While you were driving.
I did. It was terrible. But no, I think that was one of the funny ones there.
That was funny. And Hank watched me bowl 300 while I was practicing on lanes. Was it 3 and 4?
Yes.
I think it was on lane 3 and 4. You were working, and I was down there practicing by myself. Yep. And you watched me, and I said, Hank, you're my witness. I shot 300.
I don't think anybody ever shot 300 in that building until I really don't. That was the dungeon of dungeons those days. Wood lanes. We were bug spraying in lamb's wool cloth. I was trying to figure out how to get a little taper on those patterns, and it was.
And we had to hope the pool didn't leak.
Yes. Oh, that facility's nice now.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous. And they still complain. Lane was saying, "Oh my God, we always worry about the pool, and we had something happen." I looked right at him and I go, "You're in this gorgeous bowling center. We had nothing, I mean, it was so funny." But
Bill Passon's, God rest his soul. Bill he did everything he could to get us all we could for down there, and Bud and all those. We had no lane machine. It was I'm telling you. That's why we were the best. I mean, you girls you ran them over there. That's for sure.
Well, everybody down there, we worked hard. The lanes weren't easy, and boy, we were good spare shooters. That's probably where it went through my head. Oh my God, you have to make everything you leave because you leave something all the time. I mean, that's really how it was. But Hank, great times. I am thrilled thank you for your friendship of 33 years that you just almost 33 years.
Yes, yes.
Love you to death. We had some great times.
Mm-hmm.
More to come, more to come. And I thank you for everything. You are such an asset for the industry. And again, I know you kind of shy away from this, but you truly are one of the smartest people I know in this industry. And the great thing about it is you took all of that knowledge that you learned, all that education, and really did something for a company that has helped put them at the top of the industry. So you should be proud of yourself. And again, love you to death and so grateful for your friendship.
Thanks, Carolyn. Such great work that I can't say thank you enough, and I don't know what to say sometimes. And I love you to death. You and Del like family to me, and you know everything that we've accomplished, and all of us, and we've all been part of each other's lives, and the successes at Storm are part of a great family. And Bill and Barbara Crispin are two absolutely great people, and have afforded us the opportunities to do some of these things and be kind of crazy. And Bill still looks at me sometimes and goes, "What? What do you want to do?"
I love it.
And you know what? He's there every day, and absolutely one of the greatest mentors as far as for me as well too. And I'm lucky to kind of to be able to say, hey, 20 years at Storm, and I want to work as long as I can at Storm and be a part of that, a part of the success as much as I can.
Yeah, so, you will be, and we look forward to the next great invention.
It's
absolutely
coming. It's coming.
I know.
This one's off the charts.
Okay, excellent.
Maybe I'll share it with Del. But
yeah, okay. Well, he can't talk, so yes,
right.
It's the perfect person to share it with. But Hank, we are going to have you back again and again. Okay. Thank you, and our love to everybody out there in Utah.
All right, love you guys. See
ya soon. Love you too.
All right, bye.
So that was a lot of fun tonight, and we're going to have Hank back. And there was so much knowledge and so much passion that comes from Hank. And anybody who knows him or has been in a room with him or has listened to him give a seminar, he grabs you. You're going to leave that room knowing something more than when you walked in. And that's when you know people are where they are supposed to be. He also mentioned the great people we have in this industry. Bill and Barbara Crispin, we truly love you. You have gone out of your way, not only for us, but the entire Storm and Rotogrip family. I always like to give Chris Schlemmer a shout out, who's in charge of Rotogrip. I've been with Rotogrip for years, and I appreciate that, as well as all of the other companies that we are a part of. Again, the Keegan family from Logo Infusion, Brett Cooper, who's with Dexter, and Dave Bernhardt Sr. and his entire family, USA made Turbo Grips. We are fortunate, and that's one of the things that I learned from this tonight, and the fact of those people that you meet throughout your life. You might meet them in high school, you might meet them in college like I did, and you remain best friends for 33 years. And you hope that some way you make them better and they make you better. Thank you for joining us tonight. Again, remember to check out our Facebook pages, Ballard versus the Big C, as well as Ballard's Bowling Academy. Thank you to all of you who support us, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a fantastic week.